currently has been on there longer than anybody representing the state of Michigan, just because we have our chairman that's been replaced and we have our RNC committee woman that's been replaced. I wanted him to come to discuss what the role is so that you have an understanding of that, and then also what issues he's been dealing with, in particular one issue that I have near and dear to my heart, which is the preservation of your proper role as delegates and your power as precinct delegates, which has been terribly undermined as of late. So Dave, thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say Darwin, you can see why I endorsed Darwin. I think I threw him his first $200 check and he ran the whole campaign on $188 a month. That's pretty good. So this is not going to be my typical speech that I give because he asked me to do specific things. So what is the RNC? First of all, the RNC was basically started in 1856. In 1924 to 52, the chairman of the Republican Party in your state was not included in the RNC. It was just a committee man and a committee woman. Personally, I'd rather see that, and I'll tell you why. The chairman of the Republican Party, or the chairman of the RNC's goal is to raise money, right? And then what they do is they decide where to spend that money and give it to certain candidates. But to me, as a committee man and a committee woman, our job is to represent the grassroots, because you elected me as a delegate, and you represent what, 500, 600 people? And then you elected me. I represent the grassroots at the national level. So my goal is not just to get the R behind the name. My goal is to get the right person, the correct person, with the R behind their name elected. Big difference. So it's composed of 168 members from each state. Presently, you have the chairman, which will be Ron Romney, myself, and a committee woman, 3 from each state. You got Guam and you got Puerto Rico and so forth. Each state has a chairman, and he shows up. I think I just mentioned that. With the liaison, I'm going to estimate for you that are sitting here and going to run for this position. Beware. This is not a cheap thing. I estimate that you're going to spend $40,000 over a 4-year period just for driving and going to 3 meetings a year. And those meetings aren't cheap. Every time I go to a meeting, I figure I'm dropping somewhere between $1,400 and $1,800, not including the airfare. And I try to fly cheap because I was a pilot with American Airlines, so I could fly free if there's a seat available. So if you got to add that onto it, you're going to drop a lot of dollars. So you either need to do fundraisers if you're not independently wealthy, or you got to be independently wealthy. Some of the people that held this position prior to me were Betsy DeVos, Pete Secchia, Chuck Yob, multi-millionaires that can afford to do this. So folks, the yous that are running, just plan on it. If you win, you're going to spend some money going to these events. So what does the RNC do? It raises money, first of all. It spends it as the chair, Reince Priebus, sees fit and where he sees fit. We, as the independent, all the members, don't decide that. He decides that. We hold 3 meetings a year. We write the GOP platform. That platform that you read if you go on the internet, that's what we do. We set the rules. I'm going to talk about the rules in a moment. It's really irritated a lot of people in 2012. And we set the location of the convention, and we make resolutions. My first year, let me give you an example. I put in a resolution. I sat home one day and I thought, how can I distinguish our party from the Democrats? So I sat down and wrote a list of 5 items. And I handed them to a lawyer, and I said, can you write this up? And they wrote it up for me in legalese. The 5 core principles, and they were voted on by the entire RNC with unanimity. There was not one no vote. Okay? What were the 5 core principles that I got passed? 1, and this distinguishes us from the Democrats. 1, our rights come from God. And it's the government's job to protect those rights. And by the way, our forefathers, it was individual rights, not communal rights. Get that. Individual rights, not communal rights. And what do the Democrats do? They try to take God out of their platform at their convention. Item 2, we believe in legal immigration, not illegal immigration. What's Obama doing now? He's trying to get more votes, bringing people in, give them an earned income tax credit, give them benefits so they'll vote Democrat. Item 3, we believe in the sanctity of life, not abortion, as opposed to the Democratic Party that does. Number 4, this caused a lot of consternation. We believe in traditional, natural marriage, not homosexual marriage. Number 5, we believe in the Second Amendment, your right to bear arms. What's Obama doing? Making your shells more expensive. And what always happens is you have registration first, you have confiscation second, always occurs. If you've ever been in a communist country like I have, that's the way it works. I don't want it to happen in America. Also, some of the things we did in resolutions, we opposed Obamacare, which would have included Medicaid expansion. We also opposed Common Core, we voted against it. Our state passed both of those. Now, am I supposed to jump up and down and say, good job, guys, you passed those? Can't do it. We voted against those things. I opposed those things. And I think we have what? They estimated 450,000 people will be on that Medicaid. We got almost 600,000. This is going to kill our budget. Okay, what are the rules? 2012 rules. I got to back up here a little bit. I don't care what government you're in, if you're state, federal, or even the RNC, it has a tendency to try to concentrate money and power in the hands of a few. I don't care where you are. That's the way it is. It's that way in Lansing, it's that way at the RNC, and it's that way in Congress. People, you lost your voice. In 2012, prior to 2012, the process for choosing delegates to the National Convention was left to each state. Got that? Prior to 2012, rules could only be changed with the approval of the delegates at the National Convention from across the nation, i.e. once every 4 years. So on 2012 at the convention, a power grab occurred that alienated the Tea Party, the C4L groups, the constitutional groups. The Rules Committee met. Here's what happened. John Ryder stood up and says, we recommend changing the rules so that we can change the rules as a committee between the 4-year cycle. So we can just change it anytime we want to change it. So the delegates aren't that much involved. You have to vote on it, but they can change it, then request a vote. I'll get to that in a minute. Morton Blackwell, who I usually vote with, the RNC, been on that rules committee longer than anybody else, stood up and said, he countered that in such meetings the chairman gets what he wants because arms are twisted, trips are offered, influence is peddled. In short, the RNC does what they're told to do by the chairman, and this takes the grassroots out of the equation. I agree. He was exactly correct. Then Ben Ginsberg, who was part of the Romney campaign, suggested the changes. He didn't like it that delegates did their job. He didn't like it that they just acted like robots and voted the way they wanted them to vote. So he suggested that the presidential nominee pick which delegates he likes goes to the convention.
First of all, I'd like to thank David Dudenhofer for putting this forum together for us. It's been nice because we all came up from a half hour away where we initially spoke, so you're a second group of people. My husband and I are organic farmers and we have a solar business. And I know it's expensive to run for this position, and my husband said not to worry about that. He rented 100 acres more and we're going to plant additional beans to cover the cost of it for one thing. So we are parents of 4 children, grandparents of 10, and we got involved politically, always had voted conservatively, but actually got politically involved about 7, 8 years ago. We joined our local party because we were concerned for those children and grandchildren, like all of us are. And I joined the party, and Dean did too, and became vice chair for a term, and then I was chairwoman for 2 terms. I really enjoyed that. We were low in attendance when we first got involved. There was maybe 5 to 7 people at a meeting, if you can believe it. This is wonderful to know tonight. But now we have 20 to 30 people in attendance, and we have over 120 membership. Also, our funds were at a $200 level about in our checkbook. As of last year, there was $19,000 through fundraising, and half of that we gave to our local and state candidates, and also the RNC, or the Michigan Republican Party also. We were very proud to do that because it had never been done before. So, as my 3rd term as a state committee member, I've served on coalitions, and I've served on the budget committee. I know how desperate the funds are for our party, for fundraising, for serving on the budget committee. They're critical to us, and especially for our 2016 race coming up. So I'm very much in favor of the platform the way it is. I copied it off a month ago. There's like 64 pages. I'm looking at it, agree with everything. And I am a constitutional conservative lady myself. I would like to support the RNC in a very positive light. And I would like to see less taxation across the board for everybody. As small business people, which my husband and I are also, we know how hard it is on people right now. And there's a lot of people who need to hire more people with the current administration. they're afraid if we get in business, hire more people, how are they going to be able to afford it? Will things collapse under their feet? I'd also like to unify our party. We have different factions in our party. We're all in a political family, each one of us. And we can discuss things easily, listen to dissent, but at the end, we have to be unified going forward to get a Republican president elected. And also, I think it's fine to listen to those dissents, but we also have to keep in mind to keep it within our family. Because all the press does is make fodder of all that and make fun of us and say we can't make up our minds. So I think it's important to air our differences within ourselves, but then keep it to ourselves too, so no one can make fun of it. Thirdly, I would like to listen to our delegates, activists, and local leaders and learn what does not and what does work in our party from their perspective, and then implement things to make that change. I'm into fundraising. I have no problem with that. I'd like to support and grow our party like I have for our own local party. We need that kind of thing. I'll work to bring in great speakers for Lincoln Day dinners and other conservative events. And I would like to look at raising our funds also with low donor donations of like $25, $50, $100 for party members. Everybody can give a little bit. And sometimes it's wonderful for the large donations that come from large corporations and wealthy people. But all of us are just as important, and we can all help support with $25, $50 to $100 range, I figure, to help bring in pretty good amounts for our party. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should tell you about. Those are my ideas, why I'm running, for the concerns that I mentioned.
To move around, but I'm Cindy Gamrat, and for those, can I just ask, how many of you are on state committee or in this room? Okay, awesome. For those of you who don't know me, I have 3 children. I have 17-year-old twins. Some of you might know Joey. He ran for youth vice chair. He has a sister Paige, and I have a 15-year-old daughter Megan. I went to school at University of Michigan as a nurse, graduated, worked ICU and hospice and oncology. Got into politics about 6 years ago in the Tea Party movement as a Tea Party leader because I saw what was happening in our country and I was very concerned about the direction that we were going. So started my first Tea Party then, have been running a Tea Party ever since, and over the last few years have been doing statewide coalitions, or it's called the powwow, where 400 of the top conservatives come together, and actually our RNC chair, Dave Agemo, was the speaker at our last event. And so why am I here? Why am I running? What do I want to bring to RNC? Number one is championing our message and our values. I think we need leaders who are out there like Dave, championing what we believe in our platform. We have the values that can inspire a nation and a state that provide opportunity and prosperity, and we should be proud of that. And when we don't, when we're not out there championing our values, what happens is the Democrats win in the messaging and win in the talking, and there's a void, and when we're not willing to do that. And it takes risk. And it takes risk when you're out there and you're willing to stand for what you believe in, and you're willing to talk about it, and you're willing to travel the state, and you're willing to put yourself on the line and speak about the things that we believe in. And you're going to get the arrows, and you have to be willing to stand for those things that we believe in. And so that's one of the things I'd like to bring in as a national committee woman. And I appreciate Dave for what he's done in that regard. Number two, empower the delegates and empower their voices. I'm a grassroots person, so I am bottoms up, and so I believe in doing all we can to empower the voices of our delegates. And what does that look like? Maybe at a county level, it's passing resolutions and allowing the delegates and the members of that local GOP to pass resolutions and to put those forwards. It's holding our elected officials accountable. One of the things when I'm a state representative from Allegan County, knocking on thousands and thousands of doors, that I heard over and over again is we're tired of people who say one thing and then they go in there and they do something else, and we need to hold them accountable, because what's happening is we're ruining the brand of Republican and what it means to be Republican when we don't go up there and our actions don't demonstrate the things that we believe in. And so you can say you believe in the platform, but then if you go and vote differently than that, what does that say? And so I think we need to be cautious of that. So we need to empower the voices of our delegates. And the last one is is you will know where I vote and where I stand. And if I'm elected, you guys can be confident I'm a strong social and fiscal conservative, limited taxation, which is why I'm not afraid to stand up here and say I'm against the road proposal, ballot one proposal for tax increases. I serve on appropriations in the state house, and the money is there. The money is there. We just need, like David said earlier, we just need leadership who will go in there and prioritize the budget. And so I'm not afraid to stand up here and say that. And at times I've been the only Republican no vote in my committees. And so I think that we need to, again, stand for what we believe in, empower the grassroots vote, and empower that delegates. That is where our strength is. It is our members, and it is our delegates that are out there pounding the pavement, making the phone calls, like you guys, doing outreach. Those are the voices that we need to engage, and we need to hear, and we need to empower. And if I'm elected as RNC committee woman, you will not have to question how I'm going to vote when I go to the committees and conventions. I am going to vote on the conservative platform of the Republican Party. And so I ask for your support and appreciate what you guys are doing here, and appreciate David for allowing us to come, and look forward to your questions. So thank you, and God bless you.
Hi, thanks everybody. My name's Mary Whiteford. I live in Allegan County, Casco Township, right near South Haven. My husband, Kevin, and I have been married for 28 years, and we have 3 adult children. I'm vice chair of our county party. I formed a Republican Women's Club for my county, and we've gone from the original 5 people, and we're getting close to 60 people at every event. I am also on the Michigan Women's Commission, and in that role I've been traveling around the state doing human trafficking awareness. So a month and a half ago I was at an event in Grand Rapids, and Joe, can you just put that down? Thanks, I don't think you need that. It's nothing to hold against me, right? So I traveled, I was at a human trafficking event, and Senator Judy Emmons was there. Yeah, you too, Todd. You don't have to videotape me, right?
I don't have to.
Okay.
You want me to stop?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have it. And so one woman went up to Judy Emmons afterwards, after all these terrible, terrible stories of girls and boys being terribly abused and trafficked, and she said, Senator Emmons, you and the legislature are failing us. You are letting these children get abused and hurt. Families are falling apart. What are you going to do to make this better? What can you do? Should we be like Barack Obama and hold up our sword and say, I've got this perfect law. It's going to make it all better. Families are going to stay together. Children aren't going to get shot in their schools. Right? My son was in a college shooting. That young man went and killed 6 students, injured dozens more, then killed himself. There is not one law or regulation that would have stopped that. But we're going to go and add all these laws that are actually taking away our Second Amendment rights. It's wrong. Government can't fix things. They want to make sure that insurance or that health care costs are controlled. Well, then insure everybody, right? Our insurance went up 40% just this year, and that's after 20 to 30% every year. Doing these broad blanket legislation and laws are taking away our liberties. We are like Petoskey stones. I'm not sure if you guys know, it's our state stone. It's a 24 million year old coral. I walk the beaches of Allegan County and I find them. They're beautiful. Every single one is different shapes, sizes, striations, and it depends on the cut of the coral. So if you look at that, you see structure though. You see shape. And it's like us. We have all of our differences. All of our passions are different. Our careers, our families, we're all different. But what's our core? We believe in limited government. Government has its place, and it's to stay out of our lives, right?
Right.
Number two, we are responsible for ourselves. If I make a mistake, you're not going to go and pay my bill to get out of jail, right? Maybe. Okay. But I have to be responsible for myself. And then the third thing is a free market. And that means, like my husband and I, we've had our business for almost 20 years. We started our business with nothing but debt, worked our butts off. If we fail, we're out of business, right?
Right.
If we succeed, by the grace of God, and sticking by our family, we did it because our family was falling apart, because my husband was traveling an hour each way and working 100 hours a week. We said, well, let's keep him close to home and take care of our family. And I'm really, really pleased to say we've hired my son out of law school, and he lives in South Haven, so I get to see my grandbaby almost every day.
Good.
What a blessing. That little girl knows me so well. It's sweet. We've hired my nephew. But that's what happens. And now I'm at a place that I can pass on this message. Hard work, faith, do the right thing, keep government out of our lives, and that's how we make our world better. Now, our big enemy, bleeding heart Democrats. Because they believe that that person up there is really going to save them. They believe that law is really going to work, right? That's why they're voting. Because they believe, they're so sad, they're so hurt, whatever, you know? But that's what they believe. We need to stand up and be the party of right. The party that knows you work hard, you take care of your families, you take care of your neighbors, you don't rely on government to do that. So I stand up here, I'm not gonna say rhetoric, I'm gonna say I've worked hard, and I love my family, and I will stick by them through and through, and I'll try to be a good model for other people as well, because each one of us needs to do that. Don't hide behind your doors, get out in your neighborhood, say hi to those kids, be the one for those kids that won't be exploited. You can be the one to take care of them. And that's our message.
We passed a resolution opposing Prop 1. Where do you stand on Prop 1? Do you support it, oppose it?
I don't know anybody who supports it.
I oppose it.
Do you oppose it?
Attention,
Do you oppose it? All three of you on record as opposing it.
We'll be closing
Okay.
in 20 minutes.
We have 20 minutes.
Save any work you are doing and bring any materials.
Literally
we
20
can
minutes.
Check out the circulation desk at this time.
Steve?
Would any of you publicly pledge to reverse the rules that were changed in 2012?
I don't know that we would have, I mean, we could put our input into it, but I don't know if that would be up to who's on policy, I would think. But we could talk to the policy people, I would think, about that.
Any of you want to
We
weigh
have
in?
voice for that.
I think she's right unless Dave knows better. I don't know that we'll be able to vote, actually cast a vote on
We
that.
have a
or-
rules committee, the rules committee will vote on something, and then it comes to the floor of all 168 members. So what you do is you put pressure on the rules committee, policy is something different.
Okay.
And then if they pass it, comes on the floor, then you'll have a chance to either stand up or sit down when you oppose it or in favor of it. So it's rules committee.
One thing I would like to do to help empower the precinct delegates is I would like to see at state convention, all the precinct delegates be able to attend and vote at state convention and not make it a certain slate that only, you know what I mean? Because there's so much political maneuvering that happens. I would like to see all the precinct delegates. I mean, they are duly elected, and they should have a voice in the matter, and they should be able to vote at state convention. And so that's one way I think that we can empower the precinct delegates.
Second Amendment's a big deal to me. I'm just curious. I think we did the Second Amendment, so I'll be showing that.
Question concerns Second Amendment issues.
I belong to the NRA. I told you my story. I would do nothing to take away our Second Amendment rights.
I live in the woods with lots of critters, I like our guns.
I actually am working on right now a piece of legislation for constitutional carry that opens up. I believe the Second Amendment is clear, and that is our right to bear arms, and it's clear and shouldn't be thwarted in any way. And so I'm working with the National Association for Gun Rights, NAGR, if you guys know them, and Open Carry of Michigan, and working on legislation to put forward constitutional carry for Michigan. And of course, I voted for our Second Amendment rights every opportunity I've had. So
I'm curious, Dave, what would you want to see with your partner going into the next few months here before the next official election in 2016?
Well, you can probably guess, I hate yes people. What I mean by that is do what we were told and just go along because they tell you. That's what got us into the mess we're in now with federally with $142 trillion worth of unfunded mandates, $18 trillion worth of debt. It means $500,000 for every man, woman, child. People went along with what they were told to do. It takes guts to stand up and say, no, I'm not gonna do that because it's not the right thing. So I want somebody in there that has the guts to stand up. I stood up with Bobby Shostak and, who was it, Terry Land. I was the only one saying no on some of those issues. They were voting yes and I was voting no. They don't like that. So I'm looking for somebody with guts and intestinal fortitude.
Do any of you ladies want to comment on that, please?
I'll speak to that. A lot of people know me, and I'm very friendly and nice and approachable. But in our area, I'm known as the elegant lady with an iron fist. So when I have to use that iron fist, I'm more than willing to bring it out and hammer someone if they need it. So no, I don't have a problem. I stand up for what is right, and that's what you have to do in life, in all aspects.
I'll just say amen to that. I tell you, my very first vote on appropriations, I was the only no vote, you know. My subcommittee in education, I was the only no vote. I put forward 4 amendments. It was to increase federal funding in our education. I've co-sponsored against Common Core, a bill to stop Common Core, but I put forward amendments to not increase the federal funding because our budget already is 43% federal dollars. And when you get to that point, who's controlling your state? It's the federal government. So my amendments didn't pass, so I had to vote no. So I'm willing to do that. I have been willing to do that, to take the arrows as a Tea Party leader. And so I wholeheartedly agree with you, Dave, and really would enjoy working with you on those things.
So I have no official record, so nobody really knows where I am. But in my family and my community, they know I stand up and I do the right thing. And I'm the voice for the voiceless. And I'll do my best to help people. I'm not sure if I told you, but I used to be a pediatric emergency nurse. So took care of lots of children in that way. And I will do that in any way that I can.
Thank you. Darwin?
I'd just like to ask a question. With the Supreme Court's decision coming up soon, it's going to be a defining moment for our party and for our country. How many of you will actually stand for, first of all, where do you stand concerning traditional family? But depending on the decision, which one of you will actually fight against? If it's a decision that is against our values for those who have moral values, well, yeah.
I'm for traditional marriage. I think any other unions can go a legal way and they can have just a legally written document. You know, if they want the same rights as married people, they could go to a legal format, have that drawn up to protect themselves, if that's what they're concerned about. But I think the definition of marriage is one man and one woman.
I agree. I believe marriage is between one man and one woman. When you said Supreme Court, I didn't know if you were talking about the healthcare decision coming up or whatever. But you know, no. But I also I do believe that government really doesn't play a role and shouldn't play a role in marriage. I believe that's between the man and the woman and God, and their faith. And so I would like to see government completely out of marriage and benefits and the welfare and everything that's connected with that. But otherwise, you know, I support marriage between one man and one woman.
And I've been married for 28 years. I stood up in my church in front of all my family and friends, and I made a promise before God to my husband. And then at the very end, we went in a room and signed a piece of paper, right? So, as for the Supreme Court case, I am a member of the Federalist Society, and I believe in the rule of law, but I will live my life the way I want to live my life, and that's being married to a man.
You know what? I'm gonna wrap this up. I'll tell you why, because right at 9, we're out of here. We don't have, so.